My favourite bit about Chewie is probably him just being a donut almost every day. An annoying brother just like my big brother.
My name's Ian. I live in north of Hamilton. This is Yasmin, my daughter, youngest daughter, and we have a donut doggy called Chewie. He's 4.5 years old and 8 months ago suffered a car accident where he was hit by a car out on the road in front of our property and had a severely dislocated hip and fractured tail. When we went down to the Hawke's Bay to meet Chewie, he wasn't actually called Chewie at the time, and unfortunately they'd named him Trump, so we had to rename the dog. He was 6 months old and had just come back from a family in Wellington who decided that by the size of his paws and the length of his legs, he was going to be much too big for their city living. And I've been after a dog for years because I've always grown up with dogs, but my wife has always been terrified of dogs. And we picked a Border Collie Cross as a first dog. It certainly got over her fear. Everything pointed towards Southern Cross as being sort of a really good provider. We've obviously got a large section and we throw the ball a lot for Chewie. He needs a few hours of exercise every day to keep him active, but he's also an outside dog. So when we go to work, he stays outside quite often, and we went to leave and I called Chewie in because we normally give him a treat to stop him following us down the driveway, and he didn't respond, which is really unusual for him. So I went outside, opened the gate, and I found him just outside our house on the hard shoulder, and there was obviously something very wrong with his back, with his hind legs, and he couldn't move. So at the time my immediate reaction was, let's get him straight to a vet, see what they say. When we arrived at the vets, they just took Chewie straight away and said, look, we'll deal with the paperwork afterwards, let's get him seen. The surgery involved putting a synthetic toggle, putting his hip back in, and then it was a case of let's see how much he can move once he'd completed his recuperation. And it was meant to be 12 weeks of crate rest.
My dad told me that I had to keep an eye on Chewie just in case he started to try and walk. I would have to tell him to lie back down because almost every 5 seconds he would try and get back up, thinking that it was fine.
By week 8, we couldn't actually keep him in the crate. We're glad to say that you would not tell that he's had any form of injury. The fact that Southern Cross, and we were insured with Southern Cross, took all the worry away. We know vet fees are expensive and there's a lot of hassle because when you're dealing with the 5th member of the family, the last thing you want to be worrying about is how are we going to afford this? So we have health insurance, so why shouldn't he? We didn't care about the money side of it then because we knew that we had someone had our backs.